finance reports that Ms. Barrett has so gratefully prepared for us, and we'll be looking for action to accept what she presents to us. Our attorney has corrected us that we're not approving the reports, we will be accepting the reports that are presented.
Good evening to the board and to everyone. A financial update from the finance department. We just want to, we know there's a lot of information going on about the cyber attack. So the finance want to let everybody know that the finance department data of the district that employs social security numbers, bank information, and the district bank accounts was not subject to the cyber attack due to the finance decision to move to a cloud-based platform. Smart Fusion is a financial system the district has used for over 15 years. In March of 21, about 6 months before the cyber attack, the finance department made a decision to move away from the district on-site server and move to a Smart Fusion, hosting our own data. Smart Fusion is a cloud-based financial management system which helps schools secure stored transactional data, manage general ledger, and view multiple reports on a centralized platform. And the corporate headquarters are located at 900 East Main Street in Easley, South Carolina. So they're the one who's hosting all of our data for us. So our data for our employees are secure. Any questions?
Ms. Barrett, I have one just for clarification.
Mm-hmm.
It was finance department's recommendation to do that, or did that recommendation come from technology?
It's finance recommendation. It's finance decide who hosts our data. This is it is our financial data.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the annual capital 8% projects, Fund 527. The county treasurer office received $2.1 million in new 8% capital funds that's unbudgeted and is sitting in the capital projects for us during the budget year in order for us to budget that funds. The insurance proceed. The district has $382,366.08 in an unbudgeted account in the insurance proceed fund that's unbudgeted and can be used however see fit by the board. Local revenue. Revenue and expenditure report. Local revenue. In November of 2022, the district received $1.47 million in funds, and in November 21, we received approximately $1.3 million, which increased $150,668.20. The EFA funding, because of the way we have changed the way we funding sources are being done, there was a decrease in EFA funding of $1,025,081.30. The EIA funding, we had an increase of $1.3 million, approximately increase. Federal fund, we had a decrease of $60,254.62. Food service, we had a decrease of $698,000 and $6,987.55. And we have a total increase of $373,020.31 in our final revenue. For expenditures, we had an increase for the general fund of $418,414.25. In our special revenue, we had an increase of $41,310.89. In federal fund, we had a decrease of $302,851. In food service, we had an increase of $77,570.27, which gave us a total increase in expenditures of $234,444.41. Questions?
Ms. Barrett, I'm sorry, is this the appropriate time to ask about any of these, or are we only looking at a specific one?
You talking about what?
I've got a budget report by fund. They both say that. I just have two questions, and I'm not sure if this is what you're talking about now or if you want me to hold this question.
Did you, go ahead.
Okay, on the first one, Ms. Barrett, I wish I had a way to identify it.
Is it a board report?
It says Coffee County School District Budget Report by Fund from November the 1st to November the 30th. I'll tell you this, the budgeted revenue down at the bottom is
Okay.
51 million. Are we on the right one?
Yes, okay.
Okay, so I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items down, miscellaneous revenue, DO. It says budgeted revenue is 0, and then it says current revenue is 58,928.30 cents. And then it says that remaining balance is a negative. Can you just give me clarification on what that means?
That just means that money came in that wasn't budgeted, and we have that all the time. Because this is, maybe it's a one-time expenditure, a revenue that came in, and we didn't expect to budget it, so it just came in and we put it into that line item.
So Ms. Barrett, can you give me an example of $58,000 that just came to us unexpected?
Well, it's not really, it is, what happened is when our special revenue, she'll put money into a fund to hold it, and then once she find out from the department where they needed to go, she'll move it into where that department needs to go.
She who?
Our special revenue account, specialist.
And is that somebody employed in our district? Or
Yes,
is that outside?
yes, she is.
Okay. Okay.
So that normally is a holding until, because a lot of time money come in, finance don't know where it's going yet. Because we get money that come in that's ACH wired, and if we have to account for it because it came in that month. So once we find out where it belongs, we'll move it into the direct account.
Okay, and Ms. Barrett, whenever we have funds like that are ACH wired, as you said, do we get notification of that beforehand?
No, we normally don't.
We do not?
No, we just, how we do normally happen is that only people that notify something is coming is normally the treasurer. They'll let us know that they have collected taxes and they're gonna put that money into our fund, but the state normally do not tell us too much ahead of time.
Okay. And then on this other report, Ms. Barrett, I'm sorry, but it says the same thing up at the top. The budgeted expenditure at the bottom on this one, just so we can be on the same page, is $229,846.21. I'm not sure which report that is.
Board report.
That's the board report?
But at the top it says budget report by fund. Has all the districts.
Yeah, it does have like district board travel and stuff on it, Ms. Barrett.
Oh, so the board is it Fund 100-231 to general fund?
100-231, yes.
Yes,
ma'am.
that's the board account.
Okay, looking at that,
Normally finance, only thing finance do not handle anybody's funds. Finance only handles finance account. Every school, since the board has handled their own accounts, only thing we do is pay the bills, pay the people, and make sure that the funds are being spent correctly and in a right manner.
gotcha.
So this is not, we don't deal with the board accounts.
So you can't answer a question on
Yes,
this?
I can, if I can, yes, I can.
Okay, so, all the way down, 3 from the bottom, supplies for school board.
Yes,
It says budget expenditure is $1,000, and then it says current expenditure is $4,752. So we are over, if I'm looking at this correctly, 409% for that budget. Can you explain that?
I don't know, because I don't know why you all would have been, I don't, we get so many, if a department sends in an invoice, and if it's in an account, and the account is correct, and everything is followed by the procurement code, state, federal, and local, finance job is not to scrutinize that, because the board had already approved for them to spend that money. So we're just making sure. I don't deal with your account, I just pay bills that come into it.
Okay, is there someone, Ms. Barrett, in our finance department who deals with this account or no?
No, that would be coming from the board, but Ms. Riddell would deal with that account, because that's the board.
Okay,
So it's safe to say that when we make a request, we're not denied, we are able to go to any training or?
Well, the district had a training a whole district-wide training on December the 2nd. We invited everyone to come because we make sure that we try to train our employees who are dealing with the funds in the district to know that how the expenditure are being done. We had almost a 2-hour training. We go over various procurement codes. We go over various expenditures, how it's going to be done. We go over revenue accounts. We go over a budget. We go over how accounts should be set up, whether it's going to be a 07 account, that's the location of your location, how you should be sending your invoices into us, because finance job is to oversee. We don't spend anybody else's money. Every department is responsible for their own funds and their own money, not finance.
Gotcha. Ms. Barrett, whenever you have those trainings, is it appropriate for board?
Oh, we would love to have board members to come because we want you all to know
I would
too.
love to have you.
Yes,
I
because-
don't understand all this finance stuff.
Yes, we would love for you all to come because you all make the decision to and approve budgets, and we want you all to understand how the budget process works. So yes, if we have our next training, I would definitely want to invite everybody to come and have our training.
Ms. Barrett, thank you for all the documentation you provided. Help me understand when I'm looking at the budget report you gave us for the November, as you know, you're projected what you've already spent November for December. I'm looking at the one where it's a general fund 100, and I want to just know how you handle it moving forward. The general fund 100, where we had school board supplies, and it showed a budget expected to be 1,000.
Well, that's a budget that the board
Right.
have.
Right.
Normally how that will be happen is that if you're gonna go over budget, you need to send in an express form to the district so we can move that expense, move your budget around within your line item. That's not what finance do. We don't spend anybody else's money. We don't move anybody else's money around. So that was something the board need to get with the board secretary or whoever else and send it to finance so we can move the expenses around, move your budget around to cover those expenses.
That you answered part of the question. So I wasn't on the board when y'all budgeted 1,000 for school supplies, for school board supplies, but I see that this month we had to spend 4,752. So it puts you over on that line item. How do you
Yes, they put the
handle that?
board over on that line item. So the board need to find, can send in an expense transfer form, and we can either move the budget around within your line and to cover that expense. And I don't really know what that is because I don't really look at every expenditure, but maybe Ms. Fidel can tell you. She can give you some information on that. But it's not my job to move anybody else's budget.
I understand you just report, and that was my question. Mr. Murdoch was wondering, because I wondered how you would handle that since it showed it was a school board supply.
Right.
Only had $1,000 budgeted, but it was an expenditure, of 4,732. So someone that can see this online, once you put it out, you can do it the right way.
That is
Put it
correct.
out publicly when you sent it to us last Friday. So, I was getting some questions from folks of that, why was school board supplied $4,752? Right, so I appreciate you answering that. And how do you handle, like, your purchase service is 4,000, but we're already showing 14,000 spent?
As I said again, the board would have to move funds within their budget in order to cover that expenses of that expense that was already approved by the board. I wouldn't move anything because that's not my job.
Right. So those were the reasons, Ms. Murdoch, I had some questions since my name was down as the finance trustee. I wanted to understand to help Ms. Barrett out with that because it's going over the budget and she only has, she has to go within the budget.
That is correct, and trust me, I be on departments all the time, making sure you spend within your budget or move your expense around so we can make sure we stay within our budget.
Ms. Barrett, can we also get some expenses identified for those two over step accounts, specifically for purchase services and supplies and for the school board so we can close.
I will get it, I don't have that with me, but I will make sure we get a copy of all those expenses and I'll send it to you. Give it to Dr. Cade to give it to you.
And I just want to thank you for the information that you provided for the board to review. I want to ask a question though about your report and the amount of money that you presented to the board on the project, capital projects, that those funds that we have of $2 million in new 8% capital funds. That is unbudgeted funds at this time.
That is time.
And that will move forward into next year's budget.
Right.
To be reviewed for all school facilities.
For all schools. At the time, normally in February, we start the budget process. We reach out to all the schools. I send them a capital project form so they can give us their requests, a general fund form so they can see if they have anything they need to send in. And then normally that's how the budget process starts. And then we start our budget meetings.
Terrific. Thank you for letting us know where we are.
Okay.
Ms. Barrett, one more, just so I'm clear. You were able to give us that insurance budget, thank you. The 862 insurance budget, thank you. And I saw you asked the computer to give you through the end of the year, so you had everything in that. And I'll read that correct because it says 12/31/2022.
That's
So
correct.
you were looking at the whole year. So when it started out, it looks like it had a good balance in it at 401,000. It says due to from general fund. Just kind of tell me how that starts out.
This is how this works. The due to general fund is that, but the general fund has money. We have one operating account. And that's one operating account. So we have what you call a repo account. Because we have fund accounting, all the monies are constantly moving in one fund to one account all the time. So in order for us to keep up with every fund, we have to have a due fund. So we might have something from federal fund that's being paid by the general fund. So if I have something from federal fund that's being paid by the general fund, of course that general fund going to have a due fund that's going to be a negative until that federal fund pay that money back. But all our accounts payable, all our payroll comes from one bank account. And we have to create these due fund to keep every fund separate. So when our auditors audit us, they'll know what fund generated what revenue, what fund generated what expense. So what happened with that account, when the money came in, we had that money that's still left in the general fund that we can utilize. We had $38,000 that came in, as you see a fund balance, I think it's 30-something thousand came in from the prior year, because at the end of June, we had a bus wreck, not a wreck, but the bus had some damages. So we sent in the information to the insurance proceed account. Even though we didn't pay that expense there, that money rolled over. So now we want to pay for the repair of that vehicle this year here. But it's just a moving circle with the funds. We got like almost 92 funds, and everyone, we only have one bank account, and all the funds are constantly moving in from one fund to the next. So that's how our auditors audit us. They got to audit us based on our state fund, federal fund, local fund. Everything has to be audited. So we have to keep everything separate. So when they come and audit us, they don't charge us an arm or a leg because we have everything so broke up, they can't understand what's going on.
So, Ms. Barrett, am I correct in understanding that any money that we get come in goes into that fund and then we move it out of there as appropriate?
We don't really move it up like that. It goes into, the money goes into one account, the operating account. But we set up budgets. The money is not being moved, but the budget is being moved because we only got one account. So the budget is being moved based on what the expenditure is. Let's say we have something that is paid out of the special revenue, like our ESSA funds. Our ESSA fund, all the money and expense come out of the general fund first because it's a federal revenue, which will be an reimbursement account. So we have to pay from the general fund all those expenses first. And then, maybe 3 months later, when it's time to do a claim, we have to do a claim. When we do the claim comes from the state. Normally it goes to the treasurer, but the treasurer normally gets all our funds, except for some funds don't go to her. And once that money come back, we deposit the money into the account, and then that way it creates a due to fund to let us know, hey, the federal fund already paid the general fund back. So that money goes into a due to fund account, so we know that the money is back. But we don't have a one big account which funds funnel in and out all the time. It's called a repo account.
And Ms. Barrett, that doesn't get into the co-mingling of funds that you were talking about?
That's why we got 92 funds in the district. It's not the actual funds. All the fund goes into one bank account, but you gotta be able to categorize it, and you gotta be able to have it show where the expenses come and the revenue come in to a certain fund.
So if we had a unexpected revenue source, like you said earlier, for the 58,000, then when that comes into the general fund and we don't currently have a budget or fund for that, we create one at that time to cover that amount of money?
Do we have a fund? I'm not sorry.
You said we don't really move money. We have all of these funds that account for
money,
us.
but we move the revenue to a different fund, wherever it be. The money is already sitting in the general fund.
So
We have
any money that's in the general fund, you can move to a...
I don't move money. I don't move money. Money is always, we have a cash repo account called cash management account. All of our money is in a cash management account. We have one AP account, one payroll account, and every time there's something that's being paid from payroll, no matter what fund, it comes from that cash management account to pay that, and it moves back and forth. It's a whole complicated situation. I'll be glad for you all to come to my office because it's going to take more than one session to get over it. But it's a very complicated situation. But this is how I keep everything in line. And you will have our financial report from our auditors in January, and they'll let you know exactly how our financial status is in the district.
I make a motion, if it's appropriate this time, no other questions, that we accept the monthly revenue update that Ms. Barrett has provided.
Second.
If there is no question, all in favor of the motion, please signify by raising your right hand.
Ms. Badger, I have a question. And that's just for you, Ms. Barrett. Last month, we had a budget report that was not approved by the board.
Mhm.
When that happens, how does that affect what goes on in your world and what?
It doesn't affect my world. I mean, it's just,
So when we, I'm just thinking,
yeah.
we make this approved, it doesn't go anywhere, it doesn't go on record for your audits, it's just for
No.
our clarification.
Right.
And it identifies what questions were asked and answered.
Right.
That's how we work. Thank you.
All in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. All opposed? Ms. Rover, you want to go ahead?
Madam Chairman, I move that we accept the monthly budget report that Ms. Barrett has presented.
Second.
Any questions? If there is none, all in favor of the vote of the motion, please signify by raising your right hand. All opposed? Continue.
Madam Chairman, I move that we accept the capital project budget report that Ms. Barrett has presented.
Can I get a second?
Second.
If there is no questions, all in favor of the vote and the motion, please signify by raising your right hand. All opposed? All right, curriculum and instruction, Mr. Irwin.
But before we move on, can I ask Ms. Barrett, where did we lose Ms. Barrett to? Ms. Barrett, at the last board meeting, I just mentioned that I don't know about the other new board members, have not received a copy of our budget yet. Can you kind of give me an update when we can expect to receive that? The whole budget for the school board.
Oh, I mean, the budget, I can send that, yes, I will send that to you.
Thank you.
But it's also on the board too. We have the budget already set on the board, but I will send that to you too.
It's set where, Ms.?
It's on the board. It's on our website. We had a proviso by the State Department saying all school districts must publish their 22-23 budget on site, on our board.
Okay,
On our district office. Everything, every transparency, every dollar spent in the district, everything is on our transparency, every financial statement, every budget information you need is there.
Okay.
Just give me a call if you need anything. I'll be glad to give it.
can you give me a copy of that,
Yes,
Ms.
sir.
Barrett?
I sure will.
Attention,
And Ms. Barrett, just because I have no idea what all the numbers in the left-hand column mean, can you give us a key that distinguishes those different accounts?
Yes, I can. I can do that too.
Thank you.
Ms. Barrett, maybe I'll put you on for our retreat. Hopefully you will have some time and we can kind of discuss this a little bit more. Okay, curriculum and instruction, we don't have a report.
Madam